So today we're going to go over required tasks and how the task system works inside of ProLine, and specifically how you can use tasks to create things like pre-production checklists or other to-dos at different parts in the process. So let's start by just looking at, we have the task area in ProLine. You have these tasks. Each task can have a project associated with it as well as contacts. And then they also can have descriptions. None of these have descriptions, but you can have descriptions as well. The easiest way to add tasks is just manually adding them one by one. So if you need to just add a task randomly, you can do so using this area right here, and I can just type in anything I want here. If I want to choose a project, I can, but I don't have to, but I can if I want to. If I choose a project, and I have this option to say lock project until completed. And this is what makes the task a required task. And it will actually lock the project and not allow the project to be moved to a new stage until this task has been completed. Now, if I just leave that unselected and create this task, then it'll just be a normal task. It won't, not going to lock the project or anything like that. But if I do select that, then it will create a task that is like this with a little lock. It says project stage locked until completed. So that's how I can manually create tasks. Also, I can go into the project itself, go to the tasks tab, and I can create a task directly to the project in this way as well. So I have some different options here on how I can create tasks manually on the fly. Let's talk about how to automatically create tasks though. So a really common use case is going to, once a project has been marked 1, then wanting to automatically create a list of tasks as a pre-production checklist of some kind. That can be accomplished through a ProLine campaign. So we're going to go to campaigns. We're going to create a new campaign. Let's put this under, we'll just put this under other for right now. So we're going to do a new campaign in other. Make sure we do have this sold here, but we're going to do a new one. We're just going to call this pre-production checklist. Okay, so I'm going to create this campaign. I'm going to open it up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding in create task steps. And what I can do is I can just have this be assigned to the contact assignee, which would usually be the sales rep, or if I want to assign it to someone specific on the team, for example, if you have a production manager and you want them specifically to have these tasks assigned to them, then I can do that as well. Here, I'm just going to leave that as contact assignee though, and then I can type in what I want this to be. For example, I can say pull permits. And then if I want to, I can put a description here as well. I can even use variables as well. So I can say pull permits for, I'll say project name at project, you do address, don't have an address variable in there yet. All right, so project name, just pull permits for project name. I don't have to have a description, it's optional, but if I want to put it in there, I can. I'm going to set how many days in the future I want this task to be set to be due. And then I also have this option again, lock project stage until task is completed. Don't have to turn that on, but I can. And then also have this don't schedule due dates on weekends. So usually you're going to want to have this on unless your team works through the weekends. You want to have that selected so it'll just bump the due date over to the next day, and it won't schedule directly on a Saturday or Sunday. And then if I want this to be a required task, then I'm going to select this. So I am going to select this, that way it becomes a required task. So this is now good to go. I'm going to save this. I'm going to make sure that I have the starts immediately send mode. I don't need this to be restricted to business hours. It's not communication with the customer or anything. It's just creating a task. So this can just start immediately. And then I'm going to do that. I can actually, if I want to save myself some time, I can actually just duplicate the existing this step right here. So I can just duplicate this a couple times. And if I want to go in, I can now change the task name here to something else. Send email with dates. Order materials. All right, so we now have these 3 tasks here. I'm going to turn this campaign on. Then I'm going to go back into this one stage, and I'm going to make sure that this is set to trigger that pre-production under pre-production checklist. And so now anything that gets moved into 1 is going to get that pre-production checklist. That list of tasks will be created. So we can try this out right now. We can take, say, Abe here. We're going to move Abe into 1. And it is not immediate because it is using our campaign system, so it does take a few seconds. But here in a few seconds, you're going to see that first task get created, and it's going to pop up and as a required task. So you see the first task has been created, and then now the second task, and then the last task will be created here in a moment as well. So we are working on ways to try to speed that up so it's a little bit more of an immediate creation when you have tasks back to back like that. There's just some different things we have to navigate since we're also using the campaigns for communication where you don't want things to be moving that quickly. So now we have the 3 tasks. And so these 3 tasks are now locking this stage in place. Now, the user that I'm logged in as in our demo account here is an admin, so the admin's still able to move. But if I were just a normal member of the team, either a manager level or a basic level, then I would not be able to move this project. It would be completely locked and I would not be able to move it, and I would have to check these off before I was able to move this project into another stage. And I can go to the production page here. So I would not be able to move it over to materials ordered until all of these had been checked off. Now, as soon as they are checked off, then that lock goes away, and then the project can be moved again. So that sums up, that covers how to generate these pre-production checklists or any other tasks. This is probably the most common use case, but there's plenty of other use cases where you're going to want to create tasks like this. Another really common thing that comes up is people want to add some manual tasks into a follow-up campaign. We absolutely can do that. Usually we recommend don't select this lock project stage, obviously, because you're trying to move it to the next stage, trying to sell that job. So you don't need to lock the project in the stage when the task is created if you're doing those sales follow-up tasks. But in this case, when you do need to lock it down and force tasks to get completed before something can get moved, then this is how you do that.